Aliyah Boston, in the weirdest thing I've ever seen, one player of the game today, despite being benched for the entire game down the stretch. She was pretty much benched for all of it as Kiki Iriafen, who, by the way, up until the fourth quarter of this game, had been stinking it up and unrivaled. She basically took them home. This is one of
Let's talk about the possession everyone clipped, replayed, and turned into a meme. 5 missed shots on one possession. 5. It sounds absurd until you actually break it down frame by frame. Aliyah Boston misses a short two-pointer. Offensive rebound. Misses a putback. Another offensive rebound. Misses again. Secures yet another rebound. Misses once more. On paper, it looks ugly. To casual viewers, it looks chaotic. To critics, it looks inefficient. But here's the part most people skip. Does missing 4 shots actually matter if you secured 4 offensive rebounds on the same possession? Because those rebounds aren't neutral events. Each one resets the possession. Each one denies the opponent a transition opportunity. Each one creates an extra chance that didn't exist before. In analytics terms, that single possession generated for additional expected scoring opportunities. That's not failure, that's control. Yes, the optics are rough. No one is pretending otherwise. But basketball isn't a beauty contest. It's a possession game. And Boston dominated that possession in a way few players in the world can. This is where the conversation gets uncomfortable because it forces fans to confront what they actually value. Do they value shot-making aesthetics, or do they value possession dominance? Do they want efficiency on paper, or do they want physical control that breaks defensive structure? Unrivaled, perhaps unintentionally, highlighted that tension perfectly. Boston's sequence looked chaotic, but it was also physically overwhelming. The defense couldn't clear her, couldn't reset, couldn't breathe. And that's why the player of the game decision happened, not because of the misses, but because of what the possession represented. Relentless pressure, strength, conditioning, will. Whether the league communicated that clearly is another issue. But strategically, that possession told a story. Boston can create value even when shots aren't falling. That's not flashy. It's foundational. And it's why coaches see things fans sometimes don't, even when the explanation comes after the backlash.
Aliyah didn't shoot a 3 today, shot 4 of 11 from the field, albeit she did miss 5 shots in one possession, I think. She did pull an Angel Reese. I need to find this in the first quarter. I need to find the Aliyah Boston misses 2-point shot. Very early in the game. She did an Angel Reese. Aliyah Boston offense rebound. Aliyah Boston misses 2-point putback. Aliyah Boston offense rebound. Aliyah Boston misses 2-point layup. Aliyah Boston offense rebound. Aliyah Boston misses 2-point putback.
That moment of confusion you just heard, that wasn't exaggeration. That was the most honest, natural reaction possible. Because when Aliyah Boston was announced as player of the game despite sitting on the bench for the entire fourth quarter, everyone watching had the same question. Did anyone actually watch this game? Let's be clear about what happened. KK Refin absolutely took over the final period. She scored 19 points, almost all of them in the fourth quarter, when the game was actually being decided. Momentum shifted because of her. Defensive attention followed her. The pace changed because of her. In most basketball contexts, professional, collegiate, international, that is the textbook definition of a player of the game performance. And yet, somehow, the award went to someone who didn't even step on the floor in the most important stretch of the game. This isn't just a strange call. It's a kind of decision that makes fans question the credibility of the product itself. Because awards like this aren't just symbolic. They tell viewers what the league values. And when the message contradicts what everyone just watched with their own eyes, trust erodes. Basketball fans are smarter than leagues sometimes give them credit for. They understand nuance. They understand impact versus box score. But they also understand timing. Sitting out an entire fourth quarter while someone else dominates that same stretch creates cognitive dissonance that no stat explanation can fully smooth over. What makes this worse is the context. Unrivaled is still a young league trying to define its identity. Every decision is magnified. Every moment is judged not just on what happened, but on what it signals. When something feels arbitrary, it feeds a perception that the league is still figuring itself out in real time, sometimes at the expense of common sense. That's why this moment landed so awkwardly. It wasn't anti-Aliyah Boston sentiment. It wasn't personal. It was about logic. Fans weren't mad because Boston played poorly. They were confused because the criteria seemed inconsistent with reality. And confusion is dangerous. Because when fans start asking whether anyone's watching the games closely, what they're really asking is whether the league understands its own product.
But at the end of the day, I thought it was an alright game. I thought straight up that Kiki played better today, but that's the thing where it's like, you're not going to get really double bigs when neither of them are aren't going to be shooting, like aren't out and out shooters. But it is a funny thing I've noticed with her. Like, you can just see it in this picture. You can see it in this picture. This is by 100 miles the best shape Aliyah Boston's ever been in. Like, she is now, I'm not going to say she's a mobile 4, because she's not. She is very average athleticism for a 4, but she becomes a...
Freeze the frame. Look closely at Aliyah Boston now compared to 2 seasons ago. That is not the body of a traditional center anymore. She hasn't turned herself into a stretch 4 highlight machine, and she isn't the most explosive athlete in the league. But what she has become is one of the fastest 5s in professional basketball. And that matters more than people realize. Her conditioning is different. Her pace is different. Her comfort with the ball is different. She's running lanes, handling in space, setting screens with intention instead of obligation. And defenses haven't fully adjusted yet. This is exactly why unrivaled matters, not for wins, not for losses, not even for trophies. 6 teams make the playoffs. Seeding barely matters. Best-of-1 games make regular season dominance almost meaningless. We've already seen top teams flame out early. So what's the point? Development, unrivaled, gives players permission to experiment. Faster pace. More touches, different roles. Boston isn't just surviving in that environment. She's reshaping herself in it. She's playing faster, shooting with more confidence, and carrying less unnecessary weight, both physically and mentally. This version of Boston isn't about dominating post-ups. It's about mobility, versatility, and endurance. And that evolution matters far more than any box score. The WNBA hasn't fully caught up to this type of center yet. And by the time it does, Boston will already be ahead of the curve.
It is just unfortunate. The Hive really suck. But yeah, at the end of the day, I do feel like when it comes down to it, like Aliyah Boston is absolutely the one of the prime players that you want to build a team around. The way she's been playing, like, I genuinely do feel like she's MVP candidate next year. Like, I don't, with the improvements that she's making, like, the thing is that...
Here's the bold prediction. Aliyah Boston will be better than Breanna Stewart next season. That might be. Will be. Stewart is dealing with multiple surgeries. Recovery timelines are uncertain. Mileage matters. Meanwhile, Boston is entering year 4 with a rebuilt body, improved mechanics, and the confidence of being the second option next to the biggest star in the league. Expectations? Around 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, maybe 16-10-7. 2 to 3 triple-doubles. Defensive anchor. Offensive connector. And if the Fever finish first in the East, Boston has a legitimate MVP case. Not because the media wants to crown her, but because they won't want to give Caitlin Clark back-to-back MVPs. That's how high the ceiling is now. Year 4 expectations are simple. All WNBA first team, or it's a disappointment. That's the level she's reached.
She absolutely needs a kind of guard to feed her the ball. Like, she would very much, needs Caitlin to go get her the ball. But, like, she could be the best. A world where Caitlin and Aliyah are the 1A, 1B is a world where they win a championship. Because of how highly I rate Caitlin Clark. A world where Aliyah becomes the best big not named Aja Wilson in the WNBA, which I think she will be next year. I think she will be. I think she'll be better than Fee next year. Because I don't know how Fee's going to get on with all the surgeries, and I don't know. Weird prediction, but my prediction is that Aliyah's going to be better than Fee next year. I think Aliyah...
Let's be honest. The Laces and the Lunar Owls are not good. Watching them can feel like a chore. Defensive lapses, sloppy execution, long stretches of unwatchable basketball. But that's missing the point. Unrivaled isn't about team quality. It's about individual transformation. And Aliyah Boston is the reason to pay attention. What she's developing right now in Miami is going to carry directly into Indianapolis. Now imagine it. Caitlin Clark pushing tempo. Transition threes. Early offense. And instead of a traditional trailing big, you have a fast-conditioned, ball-handling center who can sprint the floor and finish in motion. That's not a hypothetical anymore. It's happening right now. Boston is training herself for a game that doesn't stop. And when you pair that with Clark's gravity, the ceiling explodes. This is why unrivaled matters. It's a laboratory, and Boston is the experiment that's succeeding fastest.